I'd like to introduce Liz. I think many of you know her. Thank you, Liz, for being with us despite being post-op day 5. She really put a lot of hard work into organizing this, getting all the speakers, getting everything lined up. So we're happy you're able to join us for your session, and we'll let you take it away. Thank you, Liz.
Great. Thank you, Dennis, for figuring out the audio-visual stuff and taking over for me for the pre-conference day. I'm really glad you guys could all come. What we tried to do today was provide a bunch of different tools you can have in your toolbox to use for advocacy. And one of the things that's often used are op-eds. Now, you advance the slide, Dennis. So sometimes op-eds are used as kind of opinions of thought leaders or just kind of one-off type things, but they can be part of advocacy campaigns and can be used strategically when you're trying to garner public support or advocate for your position. So today I wanted to go over a few different things. Kind of one, why write op-eds, and just go over kind of the basic structure of what the content of an op-ed should look like, or what it typically is look like. Some publication targets, how to pick them. And most of the time I wanted to use actually with some small group brainstorming, which is kind of nice. We have the small tables with hopefully the goal being you guys leave with basic outline of a possible op-ed that you could write about a topic area you're particularly passionate about. So you could advance it, Dennis. So as I mentioned, op-eds can be used to reach a broader audience you might not otherwise have access to. In some ways similar to social media, but just typically through print or online blog publications that articulates a particular problem and advocates for a particular solution. You can advance, Dennis. So we have a very particular vantage point and set of expertise that we can speak from, which gives us a lot of leverage, and we also have a lot of knowledge and skills. People in general look to physicians and healthcare advocates to be able to provide, to make sense of very complicated, both medical but also social and public health problems. You can advance, Dennis. So most op-eds kind of follow a very simple and similar structure. So they start with the lead or the hook. They talk what your thesis is, what your argument is, what your prescribed solution is for the problem, an acknowledgement of some of the conflicting or contradictory opinions, and then kind of close with a call to action of what you would like people to do, would like to see us as a society do. So let's take these one by one. So op-ed structure. So the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, I'm going to start with the lead or the hook. When I was researching this, I was wondering why they spelled lead L-E-D-E as opposed to L-E-A-D, and apparently it comes from the fact that old printing presses, part of the printing press was lead, so they spelled it L-E-A-D, so they used this to separate it out. Sorry, a little kind of side note of nerddom, in case you care. But the hook should basically bring the reader in, like why do they care? Usually connecting this to like a timely news, like you're responding to, kind of grabs the reader's attention, brings them into what you're going to write, and so they keep reading. Then you're going to follow that up with what your thesis or setup is. So you have the lead, what's the column about, what's the overarching point, what's basically the problem. Okay, next slide, Dennis. So the next 4 to 5 paragraphs, kind of total, you both have the diagnosis, kind of what you see as the problem is or what the issues are. You don't want too many points. You should keep these really simple. They should be just 2 or 3 points. And then the next paragraph should be what you think is the solution to the problems that you've outlined. Next slide. So kind of near the close of the op-ed, after you've kind of laid out the problem and after you've laid out your prescribed solution, is the kind of to be sure. You'll notice a lot of people do use that literal language, but you can use other kind of phrasing as well. But it's what is the perspective on the other side that needs to be acknowledged. This is an opportunity for you to preempt critics or critiques of your argument or your prescribed solution, and that you can kind of both present a counterpoint within your op-ed. And then you close the whole op-ed with what your call to action is. You circle back to the lead, kind of restate your overarching point, and you say what you want the reader to do or what you think should happen in terms of maybe public policy. So next slide. So I just want to go over a couple of kind of broad op-ed content tips. So there's six tips, which will, Dennis, if you don't mind speaking through them, that'd be great. So first point is have an opinion. This isn't a general interest. You need to argue a point with conviction from your place of expertise, why you are the right person to be, why you have the knowledge and expertise to have the perspective that you have, and why people should believe and trust your prescription for a solution. Next point, Dennis, sorry. So the first point or paragraph, the first point you need to state in the first paragraph or two. Don't bury the lead. People will stop reading what you have to say. Kind of hit them with what your strongest point early. And next point, having a current tie-in. You want to tie it into a current news event, but it doesn't have to be like a very timely news event, but it should be relevant to people's lives. It should be something that they care about. Point 4, so you do want to use evidence to back up your argument and your prescriptions for change, but stories are really the things that change minds. That could be something to use to your advantage both in the framing of your piece or the closure or bookending it, but those are the real things that make people sway people's opinions. So you frame with the story and then support with some background evidence and data. And point 5, tying your points to your local community. For us, a lot of that is about how our patients are affected, how where we live are impacted, how we are impacted. That kind of not only backs up your expertise, not only just as like speaking as kind of like a hollow expert, but speaking with like conviction about people's lives and how it's relevant to you. And then finally, point 6 should be kind of short, concise, conversational, no long paragraphs. It should be very kind of to the point with very empathetic statements that people can relate to. So next slide. Picking a target publication can be challenging. It's good to get some feedback from peers about maybe where the best place is to target your publications. You can be maybe looking towards more national publications like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And Dennis, you'll have to kind of click through these. You might think more local publications if it's a more local issue, kind of depending on what you're talking about. So in Rhode Island, we might want to focus something more in the Providence Journal that's more Rhode Island specific, as opposed to something that's a national issue where you would want to target like New York Times or something like that. But then there's also, you might just want to talk to other healthcare workers. So in that case, either ASAP Now, which does accept op-eds, Kevin MD, or if you're more focused on health policy, Health Affairs blog, they all have opportunities for more op-ed or opinion commentary type pieces. Next slide. So the pitch is, it's a little bit different than submitting a manuscript to a journal. These are, especially for media, you basically contact the opinion or editorial section editor, and you make a pitch for yourself, saying, what's the op-ed about? Why are you the right person to write about it? Why should people care? And then they'll kind of say, yes, I want to see your op-ed, or not. You can usually attach it, attach it what your pitch email is, but these are typically cold emails unless they've been solicited op-eds. So you definitely include your idea in a few lines, your credentials, and then obviously your contact information. So this is a little bit hard to do that I'm remote, but what I'm hoping we can do is we have these nice little round tables there is kind of get together in some small groups. I heard correctly go around, it was a little bit muffled, but I think a lot of you obviously have like interest, passion, and advocacy. Kind of coming up with a topic or something you're working on that would be amenable to an op-ed. Maybe do some brainstorming about what you believe would be, maybe 3 key points about what you think the problem is related to your issue, what you think the solution are, and 2 potential target publications that you would send your op-ed to. So we're going to do that for about 15 minutes. Dennis and Hemel and Jahan have volunteered to kind of help mill about and help people. But then the goal would be at the end of this, kind of buddy up with someone and kind of check in and see if you can maybe support each other in getting something out there in the world that supports your own advocacy efforts. So I know we're kind of running a little bit behind on schedule too, so we might not do a full 15 minutes, but why don't we kind of break up now and Dennis can check in with me and let me know how things are going.